Welcome to Three Cranky Jets Fans. I'm your host, Joe Close Marone, and here with me are no one. I'm all alone and have only myself to talk to. Yes, sadly, Trisha and Matt can't be here. We tried to make it work, but this just isn't our week. I will try to keep this short so you don't have to listen to me drone on for about 40 minutes. Today, we'll recap the Jets win over the Jaguars. We'll talk about some news and interesting topics from the past week. And finally, we'll preview Jets versus Rams. All right, let's recap the Jets versus Jaguars. Final score 32-25. The Jets pulled off a win in the final minutes of a mostly underwhelming game against the Jaguars, whose backup quarterback, Mac Jones, formerly of the Patriots, looked like a Pro Bowler through stretches of the game. He's not known at all for being a gifted runner, but he did gash the Jets defense a few times and even shed a would-be tackle at one point with one of the least graceful spin moves I've ever seen in my life. Jones' awkward appearance and mannerisms and play were really entertainment enough in this game that almost no one cared about, including the announcers. They frankly seemed kind of annoyed to be there. The Jets offensively were their typical underachieving selves for most of the game, but Devante Adams and Aaron Rodgers did finally sync up midway through the second half, putting up some much needed points and eventually taking a 7-point lead with a minute to go. Finally, Sauce Gardner sealed the win with an interception, which was his first since his rookie season. Our predictions for this game, I had the Jets winning 27-24. Trisha had the Jets winning 21-17. And Matt had the Jaguars winning 33-30. He was the only one that actually predicted the Jets would finally break that 30-point threshold, and way to go, Matt. Really, this game was kind of all over the place. I know a lot of us are feeling excited about how the team looked. The Jaguars, they're a broken team, and facing off against Mac Jones, who, yes, he was a starting quarterback for the Patriots, but over the past 2 years before this game, he really looked rough. He had no business putting up the kind of numbers that he did against the Jets this week. I'm really concerned about how this defense is performing. And it didn't look good. Offensively, the Jets have kind of been, like I said, their typical selves, fine through most of the game with a couple hang-ups here and there that stall drives. They get a few points here, a few points there. They had a really nice connection on the first opening drive of the game where Garrett Wilson caught a nice ball from Aaron Rodgers and scored a touchdown first drive of the game. I think that was the first time this season they've done that. But after that, for the next two quarters, roughly, in midway into the third quarter, not a whole lot going on. This offense really doesn't put any methodical drives together. You did see Aaron Rodgers moving well, as he did last week too, and he's pushing the ball downfield more, which is nice to see. And he's looking a little bit more accurate with his balls. He's not, the MVP that he once was, but he's looking better. And the run game is still just non-existent. He was the leading rusher. Aaron Rodgers was the leading rusher in this game with, I think, 40 yards. And he actually pushed through. Pushed through is putting it, generous. He pushed for a first down on one of those rushes, and actually took a tackle for the first down. It was impressive to see. It was fun, but overall the offense is, it's just okay. They're kind of relying on some boomer bust plays, it feels like. And in the second half of this game, Devante Adams and Aaron Rodgers did finally connect, and you saw those huge chunk plays that they got. Came down to the final minute. The score was tied up 25-25. Devante Adams caught a huge pass from Aaron Rodgers and got a bunch of yards after the catch and went down to the 1-yard line. There was a bunch of talk from the announcers and people in general with the clock management regarding the end of this game. The Jets just, rather than winding the clock down, and I don't blame them for doing this, rather than winding the clock down and kicking a field goal, just relied on their offense to go ahead and do it, score a touchdown, and then our defense will just have to rely on them to get a stop here. And this season, that's been an Achilles heel for this team, relying on the defense to get a stop in the final minute of the game. Feels like, okay, we're just giving the game away. But thankfully, they did get the stop. Gardner got his first interception since his rookie season. It was a gift ball into his belly. He would have had to try not to catch this thing, but he did catch it, thankfully. He also got a few tackles, which was nice to see. He needed a lot of help with those tackles, but you know what? Gardner, I love as a number one cornerback. He's great in coverage. I'd like to see him actually looking for the ball when he's covering. He's always following the receiver, more what they're doing, and that's why he got. I think he got 2 defensive pass interference calls in the first half of this game, and it's because he's never looking for the ball. Those are things that he can improve this offseason, and I would hope to see that happen. I don't want to get too ahead of myself after this win. It was great, but in all reality, I felt like it shouldn't have been this close. And we've got 3 games coming up. It's going to be a lot of fans are very hyped up about the possibility of keeping Aaron Rodgers and Devante Adams. Keep everybody. We'll run it back, and we'll go to the Super Bowl next year or whatever, with whoever is the coach and all that. It feels kind of like the same same sentiments as last offseason. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is looking better. He's not MVP caliber Aaron Rodgers. Devante Adams is looking good. I like him. He's still a good wide receiver. I wouldn't mind keeping him another year. But as far as the Aaron Rodgers situation, it's going to entirely depend on who the coaching staff is, GM, all that business. Let's get through the rest of this season, see how they stack up against some teams. We'll talk about the next one coming up against the Rams in just a few minutes. Let's put this game behind us. It was a good win. It was great to get a win. I'm not one of these people right now who says, let's lose out and try to get the best draft pick possible. I think this was a win that we as fans needed, and we got it. I'm not sure they're going to get another one, but they moved back 1 spot from to the 8th pick right now. Is what they have. They're still top 10, and I would be surprised if they lose that position. Let's move on to some news. The Jets always find a way to make news, and even though their season is dead, they're still alive and well in the media. Let's start the sack exchange. The 30 for 30 ESPN special came out last week, highlighting that 1980s defensive front 4 I'm drawing a blank. Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, Salam, and of course Mark Gastineau, who was really kind of like the highlight of the show. These guys, man, it was incredible. I wish I was old enough to have seen this all unfolding in the beginning. Gastineau, man, what a personality! All these guys were such vastly different personalities. Salam, just man, he seems like such a cool guy. I'm sad that he's gone now, but what a legend. All those guys, Klecko, Lyons, and Gastineau. Gastineau is really such a kind of polarizing figure now, and of course he had held the single season sack record for so long, and the sack record really, or sacks as a stat, had only started being counted a couple of years. I think it was like 2 years before he actually got the sack record at 22, and seeing him confront Favre over the gimme sack to Strahan back when he broke Gastineau's record with 22 and a half sacks, just one half sack over, it's still just cringeworthy. And man, if you haven't seen the documentary, I highly recommend it. It was really good. It was, especially as Jets fans, it was just, it's one of those things we don't have a lot to get pumped up about, but man, those guys were something else. And I wish I were old enough to have seen it live. I was not even born when they got started, and only, I think, 4 when they broke up. So it would have been a great time to be a Jets fan. Moving on. Bill Belichick takes head coaching job for the UNC Tar Heels, which are kind of a local team for us here. Trisha and I live in the Asheville area, and we're only a couple hours away from 3 hours away from there. But he supposedly had reached out to the Jets to gauge interest in the head coaching vacancy, but was turned away. There's kind of like mixed feelings on whether that was a good decision by the Jets or not. In all reality, my thought is that he reached out to the Jets, 1, because nobody else was reaching out to him. 2, he was trying to gauge interest from a team that, 1, he hates. He hates the Jets, and rightfully so, they should hate him. But he wanted to reach out, engage interest, and I think he wanted to leverage that into more interest from other teams. Let me get one bite, and I will start putting my people to work on other NFL teams to get a head coaching gig. But even the Jets walked away from what was definitely going to be an embarrassing moment for them. Yeah, I don't think it was a bad move for the Jets to turn him away. Personally, I would have been upset if Belichick were the coach of the New York Jets. He's really done us Jets fans dirty. And I really don't want any part of him. And especially, I don't want to see his son on the sidelines. That dude just is cringeworthy on every level. I can't look at him every week. All right? For that reason alone, everybody should be on board. Anyway, he took a job with the UNC Tar Heels. He is bringing his son with him there, who will likely take over in 3 years after Belichick retires. So that's fun. I'm glad I don't have to see the Belichicks in professional football for probably ever. Next up, Aaron Rodgers' Enigma documentary is debuting today on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think Trisha or Matt have either. It would be really fun to do an extra episode this week. I don't know if we're going to be available for that, but might be worth a shot just to kind of recap that. We are definitely going to watch it, though. The Jets have completed 2 interviews with potential GM candidates. Those are John Robinson, formerly of the Titans. He was the GM there. He left in 22, and he might be a good candidate if they are trying to bring in Mike Vrabel. I don't know how close they were. If it really would be an enticing move for them to make in order to get Vrabel as the head coach, but I think they're on good terms. And then they also interviewed Thomas Dimitroff, formerly of the Falcons, who was their GM there. He drafted Matt Ryan, put together that Super Bowl appearing team. I think it was 2016 they lost to the Patriots, famously in that total meltdown. But two GMs who have put together winning football teams that have made deep playoff runs. So promising candidates, I suppose. They're not the most exciting or flashy, although Thomas Dimitroff does have a magnificent haircut and dresses very nicely. Anyway, moving on, let's just get a quick look at the rest of the AFC East. The Bills beat the Lions and now have scored more than 30 points in each of their last 8 games. 8 games, 30 points or more. I can't even comprehend that. I don't think the Jets have ever done anything even close to that. Have they ever scored 4 in a row of 30 points or more? I don't know if they've scored 4 in a row of 20 points or more. Maybe this season they have. But that's just astonishing to me. The Bills are, with the way the Chiefs are looking and the Lions are, the injuries are racking up. I think the Bills are kind of the favorites to win the Super Bowl right now. Josh Allen is probably going to win MVP. And I'm just not happy about it. I just want the Jets to be competitive. Let's see. Dolphins, they lost to the Texans, and I think they have like a 4% chance of making the playoffs now. They're dead in the water, essentially. And finally, the Patriots lost to the Cardinals and have become so irrelevant that I actually kind of forgot that they existed for a minute. I knew they had a bye week last week. I think they had a bye week, or we just forgot to cover them last week. I can't remember. But then I thought they had another bye week this week because that's how little they matter. Although I did hear that Drake May looked okay in one moment of that game. That's going to do it for the news. Let's move on and wrap this thing up. Jets versus Rams. The Jets will face off against the LA Rams at MetLife Stadium this Sunday. Right now, the Jets are 3.5-point underdogs. The Rams are coming off 2 pretty big wins against the Bills. That was a huge win. And the 49ers, who were another team that's really underperforming and might miss the playoffs. But now the Rams are first place in their division. And kind of thing about this game is the weather report shows it's going to be around 26 degrees in New York. It's going to be sunny. But you hope that affects the Rams a little bit. Rodgers and company have a lot of experience playing in cold weather games and just don't really know what to expect here. I don't really think that the Rams are going to be super affected by cold weather. I just don't feel like that's part of this team's identity. I think they are some tough motherfuckers on this team, and they'll play in whatever they have to. Personally, I am interested in seeing the Jets go on a heater and really playing some competitive football these next 3 weeks, but I just don't see it happening. You got Puka Nacua. I mean, I know Cooper Kupp had a old bagel of a game last week, scoring 0 points in fantasy, but he's still a high-end wide receiver. This offense with Sean McVay being the mastermind he is, and of course Matthew Stafford at quarterback, just totally competent. I don't see the Jets defense even being competitive against them. And maybe I'm wrong, but I see. Really, I'm just going to go straight to predictions here. I think the Rams put up 33, and the Jets score. They're going to stick right around those mid-20s, 24, 33 to 24 Rams, and that's going to be it. I think Rodgers will still play well enough to keep people talking about whether he should be kept, but ultimately, I think between special teams and defense, the Jets let us down. This Jets defense is really underwhelming, and they just make mistakes at crucial points in the game that are just boneheaded. So I don't think they're. I just think that's what's going to happen. They're going to make a couple mistakes that give away the game, defense and special teams. And that's going to do it. So 33-24 Rams. I'm going to let you all go. Let's get out of here nice and quick. Until next time, let's close it out. That's it for this episode of Three Cranky Jets Fans. Thanks for sticking with me solo. If you enjoyed the episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Three Cranky Jets Fans. We'll be back next week to recap all the action. Until then, enjoy the win.